Hey there! Welcome to another brainy bedtime story reading by your host, Lenny. I hope you're having a good evening tonight. Will you grab up a pillow or your favorite blanket and get ready to read a bedtime story with me? Today, we're going to get back into chapter 3 of our brainy bedtime story. That is Donald Miller's Hero on a Mission. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. A Hero Chooses a Life of Meaning. For a long time, I believed meaning was a philosophical idea that you experience only when you agree with a set of beliefs. I no longer believe this is true. In fact, I don't think meaning can be experienced by believing a set of ideas at all. Instead, I believe meaning is something you experience in motion. You see, to experience meaning, a person simply needs to rise up, point at the horizon, and with deep conviction, decide to venture out toward the hope of a meaningful story. Meaning is something you experience while you are on an adventure. Victims then cannot experience a deep sense of meaning. You see, victims are not in motion. They're not trying to accomplish something or build something or create a new world. Instead, victims believe they are helpless. This is yet another reason I look back on my own victim years as a wasted season. Meaning is experienced by a person when they are moving forward in a story. Let's consider what are the rules we must follow to experience a deep sense of meaning. As I've already mentioned, I'm a fan of Dr. Viktor Frankl. He has dramatically improved the quality of my life. And Viktor Frankl, again, is a pretty famous psychologist, a psychiatrist, a neurologist in Vienna during the 1930s. And he wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. So Donald Miller is going to borrow 3 of Dr. Frankl's steps to creating a life of meaning. So let's take a look at what Donald Miller borrowed from Dr. Viktor Frankl. Frankl's formula to experience a life of meaning was pragmatic and threefold. Number 1, take action, creating a work or performing a deed. Number 2, experience something or encounter someone that you find captivating, that pulls you out of yourself. And number 3, have an optimistic attitude towards the inevitable challenges and suffering you will face in life. So let's take a look at those 3 steps in more detail. And I'm going to skip around again because this is an abridged bedtime reading. All right, let's take a look at step 1. To create a work or do a deed. Life invites us to be important and necessary. If we wake up each day and have a task to accomplish, especially a task in which other people are involved or without which other people might somehow suffer, we become necessary in the world. We sense we have a purpose because we do. By requiring a work or a deed, I think Frankl was saying, get yourself a great reason to wake up and get out of bed in the morning. If you do, it will help you avoid an existential vacuum, which Donald Miller does write is the experience of not having meaning, the term existential vacuum. So to avoid that, he says, get up, have a reason to get out of bed. Go create a work or do a deed that is necessary and important for the world, including A lot of our teachers, missionaries for sure, counselors like myself, all of those things I think of personally give us a sense of meaning because these are necessary works in the world. Number 2, to experience something or encounter someone. All right, what does he mean by that? Well, he writes, we should acknowledge that we are not alone in the world, and in fact, the world and the stories unfolding upon it inspire awe. We all know the greatest experiences we have in life are dramatically enhanced if they are shared with others. According to Frankl, to experience meaning, we should get involved with a small group of people we love and who love us, or we should find something that invites our focus beyond ourselves to the beauty of the world around us. A lone walk through the forest is good for the soul, just as a trip to a gallery can offer inspiration and a sense of mental expansion. The point is this: encounter something that pulls you out of yourself so that your world becomes larger. And I like to use the term broaden your horizons, make your world larger. Step 3, to have the ability to choose a perspective toward any set of circumstances, including challenges and suffering. Well, let's take a look at that. While I've found each of these 3 elements of Frankl's formula helpful, it's this last one that helped me transform the most. Essentially, Frankl argues there was no negative event that could happen to us that could not somehow be redeemed. Redeemed is my word, not his, but I think it's fitting. By redeemed, I mean that as humans, we are able to take the most painful of tragedies and turn them into something meaningful. Now, I'm borrowing from my own reference here, but I think of the quote by, is it Tony, Tony, is it Tada Erickson, the lady who was paralyzed by a swimming accident and was a great woman of God. She wrote that God allows the things he hates to accomplish the things he loves. I think that's a quote of hers, but I really love that quote. So anyway, back to this. Frankl believed that while tragedies should be acknowledged and grieved, they can also produce something beneficial. This doesn't mean that tragedies are good. Nobody wants or should have to experience a tragedy. It only means that from the ashes of our tragedies, we can create something beautiful. And by creating something meaningful with our pain, we begin the process of healing our wounds. Another danger of victim mentality is that it does not allow us to redeem our pain. Those who see themselves as victims do not see the benefits of pain. While pain is often unbearable, it also creates a strength, a tenderness, or at the very least, a deeper understanding of the true nature of life. It's often difficult. I just had a counseling session with someone where we explored that truth, that life it's not easy. And if we can accept that truth, it makes life a little bit easier to bear. The benefits of pain should not be overlooked. In stories, pain is the only way that heroes can transform into better versions of themselves. If you wrote a story about a hero who transformed, only you did not put that hero through any challenges or pain, the audience would not believe the transformation was authentic. they might accuse that writer of being naive. Intuitively, we all know that pain is the force that transforms us and grows us up. What we're talking about here is transforming from victim to hero, and that requires healing, going through pain, and healing, redeeming that pain. Victims and villains do not create meaning for themselves or for the world. Heroes and guides do. We build lives of meaning by stating an ambition, by enduring challenges, and by sharing our lives with others. For most of us, growing up is a fun story. We live a story in high school and then college, then marriage, kids, and then, well, what next? At some point, life stops handing us pre-written cultural scripts. The credits roll, and a few people even figure out they've got to create a story of their own in order to keep going. At some point, life takes the training wheels off and forces you to create a story that is better than the restless boredom that comes by just trusting fate. Midlife crisis happens when the cultural script ends, but we fail to write a new story for ourselves. So, how do we create a life of meaning? How do we keep going? How do we continue to have something to wake up for every day and something about life to keep us excited and to have purpose? Well, first we define an ambition. We choose something that we want to bring into this world, or we join a community or a movement that is bringing something into the world. Second, we share that experience with others, and we allow ourselves to become interested in the people and beauty that exist outside of ourselves. And third, we accept challenges and pain, even tragedies, as a fact. We don't run away from those things. Of course, we try to prevent them, but we do not wallow in pity when they occur. Challenges are painful, but they can serve a purpose if we allow them to. I've come to think of this lifestyle, with those three ingredients, as living as a hero on a mission. I fear, even as I type that phrase and use it as the title for this book, it rings of a bit of arrogance, as though somehow those of us who live this way are heroes and others who don't are not. But it bears repeating. Heroes are not perfect creatures. Often, in fact, they are weak, unwilling to act, afraid, and in desperate need of help. Yeah, I can relate to that, even though I strive to be a hero or a guide myself. The single characteristic that sets heroes apart, however, is that they are willing to accept a challenge that will ultimately transform them. Heroes take action, which is why they are so good at experiencing meaning. Every hero in every story that you have ever loved wanted something specific and was willing to sacrifice to get it. Every hero in every story that you have ever loved has experienced pain and setbacks, but found a perspective that allowed them to keep going. And every hero in every story you have ever loved wanted to serve a purpose greater than themselves. And because they stepped into a story, they experienced a transformation. At the end of the story, they were a better person than they were at the beginning. I have experienced transformation, and I'm hoping an ongoing transformation continues to define my life. Amidst the false starts, the fear, the need for help, I know if a person keeps moving into new and exciting stories, they will change for the better. Healthy people grow. Healthy people transform. All right, well, that is the end of chapter 3, and that is all for our brainy bedtime story today. Until next time, I'm your host, Lenny, and I hope you have a good night and a good rest. See you next time. Bye-bye.